Hello everybody, I'm back. Yay! I seem to be having a little more work done this week, regardless of the fact that it's been rather hectic. And that is mostly due to the fact that my grandson, the great dragon man, whom you all know by now, has been attending classes all week due to the fact that he will be writing his first formal exams next week. Anyway, enough of that. Let us quickly get on to Alvin Geoffrey Ragland, who is Doria's half-brother on her father's side. His mother is Ava Burrow, Doria's father's second wife. And yeah, so that's where Alvin Geoffrey Ragland came from. Now, Alvin Geoffrey Ragland was also the young man who inherited his father's home along with Doria. And talking about that, and one of the excuses given as to why the house was registered in Doria's name alone was that Geoffrey was bankrupt and in financial difficulty at the time, and that they feared the house would be sold to cover his debts. However, when I looked into his records and into his background, I found it a bit strange. Yes, he is, or was, let's say was, because that would be closer to the truth. He was flagged as a financial risk at some point. He was flagged for financial improprieties at some point. A record which has now been scrapped as well. And I can understand that because Geoffrey is currently a very successful graphics designer at Hybrid Apparel, a place where he worked since 2014 and he's still working there. And he is now actually the lead designer. I went onto their website and I also found quite a number of websites and places where Geoffrey is advertising his skills and his work. Now, I took some screenshots, but unfortunately I had to cut it because it is not the right thing to do to show his artwork. And I also fear, obviously, a copyright claim. So let's just leave his artwork out of it and just take my word for it that he is an excellent designer. What I also found was that he studied at the Otis College of Art in Los Angeles from 2002 to 2008, and that he worked at two other companies. The one, he was like the head of the design team, and he always had fairly good jobs, even before he joined Hybrid Apparel in 2014. So it does appear as if at least Geoffrey is a fairly straightforward guy who works hard. And I can understand that if he had financial difficulties, that he got himself out of it. He seems to be a stable guy who's been working at the same place for the past 6 years, and he appears to be very artistic and creative. Now, talking about Geoffrey, I found something very interesting. When I was looking for photographs of Geoffrey Ragland, I happened to find a Russian website. Yes, I'm going to repeat this because I want you to remember me saying this. A Russian website. And on this website are hordes of photographs of the Markle and Ragland families, the Markle and Ragland families, taken at various times. Silly photographs like Thomas Markle Jr. shopping and just talking to people in the street. Very weird photographs, and photographs which obviously had not appeared in the media. Okay, because there's no interest in the photographs. It's them walking, talking, etc. Now, I then found photographs of Alvin Joffrey Ragland, and quite a number of them. And the one that interested me most, or there were a series taken at the same time, was of him being parked in the driveway next to Doria's home. Him, a woman, and a baby, whom I assume to be his girlfriend and his child. Okay, may not be, but if I look at the relationship and the body language, I am assuming that it's his wife or his girlfriend and their baby. Anyway, this photograph was taken on the 12th of April 2020, and on this website it is credited to Backgrid. The story behind this photograph is that Alvin, or Joffrey, he prefers to be called by his second name, just like his cousin Megan, that Joffrey and his girlfriend or wife were dropping off groceries at Doria's home. And again, the date, the 12th of April 2020. So whatever the media is trying to tell us, things like Doria also being estranged from her family, is not true. It is not true. Doria still has a very close relationship to her family. Why else would Joffrey Ragland be dropping off groceries at Doria's home? Well, for many reasons. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she was not feeling well. Maybe she didn't feel like being photographed in the street. Whatever the reason was, I'm not sure whether the United States was going into lockdown already at that point. I'm not sure. Anyway, whatever the reason was, obviously Joffrey was doing Doria a favor by dropping bags of groceries off at her home, or having gone shopping for her on the 12th of April 2020. Or maybe Doria wasn't at home. Maybe she was elsewhere, and she asked Joffrey to go get her groceries so that it would be at home when she gets there. Who knows? Whatever. The fact remains that Doria is still in touch and close to her family. So how the heck, and I will discuss this more in part 5, how the heck can Megan, if she is so close to her mother and interacting with her mother on a regular basis, not be close to or interact with at least the family on her mother's side? And then I also read quite a number of articles telling me how disappointed her uncle, Joseph Johnson, her cousins, and her aunt, Saundra Johnson, were not to have been invited to her wedding. And why weren't they? If her mother still has a good relationship with her extended family, I would assume so does Megan. So why did she not invite them? Why did she invite the likes of the Clooneys instead of her own family? Well, I'm going to discuss this, like I said, in part 5 and give you my opinion. Let us move on to Doria's other half-brother and sister. These are half-brothers, or half-brother and sister on her mother's side from her first marriage. The first one I would like to just quickly talk about is Joseph Johnson. He was born in 1949 and is married to wife Pamela. They have 3 sons, Jared Johnson, and what I would assume to be twins, Sean Johnson and Jason Johnson. And I assume them to be twins because the family tree gives their date of birth as 1981, the both of them. So therefore, I assume they are twins. Joseph worked as a sign writer all his life and apparently lived a very quiet, steady life, family man, no major gossip or anything negative about him that I could find. I have read articles where he spoke about Meghan and her upcoming wedding to Harry, and everything he said was very positive, very slightly flowery speech, I would think, you know, complimenting her, etc., etc. He also shared a number of childhood photographs of Meghan and the family, as well as Meghan and the children. So I'm not going to be talking much about Joseph Johnson, other than to say that he currently lives in Fresno, California. The same with Saundra Johnson. She was born in 1952 and only has one son, as far as I can see, Donovan Johnson, born in 1989. Now, before I move on to the Markle uncles and cousins, I just want to mention something else, and I'm going to post the link in the description box below. I found an article written by a black woman on Tumblr or blog, and I would like those of you who do have access to Tumblr just to go read this blog. I find it very interesting because it pertains to the Ragland family, to Meghan's black side of her family. And it is particularly interesting because it was written by a black woman. And we all assume that the majority of Meghan's sugars or fans are black people, which I am starting to doubt right now. I'm seriously starting to doubt it, because during my research I have found a number of articles talking about the fact that Meghan's family, in particular her black side, her mother's side, were not invited to the wedding. And they came to the exact same conclusion as I have after doing my research. Namely, that there was no reason for Meghan's black side or Doria's side not to be invited to the wedding, because there does not seem to be any kind of animosity between Meghan and Doria's extended family. None whatsoever. All interviews in the media with Doria's side of the family were very complimentary and only said good things. They all, or most of them, seem to be fairly stable, may have had the odd financial mishap here and there, but nothing major. Nothing major. But like I said, those of you who have access to Tumblr, go read the article, click on the link in the description box and just go read it. It's interesting. And then I will give you my conclusions and what I have seen in part 5. So enough of that for now. Next up, we'll be talking about the Markle side of the family, the uncles, the cousins, and then I will end the video and we will all look forward to part 5, because that is where the proverbial poo will hit the fan. We are going to start off by talking about Frederick Markle, who is Meghan's reclusive uncle and who is a self-proclaimed Catholic bishop. Uncle Fred prefers to go by Bishop Dismas F. Markle and is the head of a run-down Catholic church with no parishioners in the outskirts of Sanford, Florida. And he is increasingly living more like a pauper than a priest. The Daily Mail obtained a pic of Uncle Fred in golden religious garb. The photo is believed to have been taken in the 1980s, when his Eastern Orthodox Catholic Church still had at least 40 members. But as Meghan and her hubby moved from Kensington Palace to Frogmore and then from mansion to mansion, Uncle Fred, or Bishop Markle, was photographed visiting his squalid home in Sanford. The home is surrounded by trashed, discarded paintings and toys. Bishop Markle's son, Nicholas, actually lives in the home, while Meghan's uncle camps at his rundown church. The bishop is known by neighbours as a hermit who only leaves his church to visit his son and get food. Frederick is the older brother of Thomas Markle, and he is estranged from his wife Teresa and other son David. Bishop Markle never mentions his niece, and had reportedly last seen her when she was 6. Uncle Fred's estranged wife and son Nicholas were, however, photographed celebrating Meghan's wedding by watching it on television and having breakfast at Burger King, leaving with coffee and crowns. Even Michael Markle, Thomas Markle's other brother, who lives only 2 hours away in Palm Bay, has no idea why his brother would be living in and running a church with no parishioners, while letting his own home go to ruins. Now, I find this very, very strange. You know, there's a saying that says charity begins at home. And I don't actually care whether Uncle Fred is delusional or whatever. But just looking at the circumstances of how he's living, if I was Meghan, if I had the money, if I had been living in the United States, I would surely, even if I didn't go myself, even if I took $1,000 and sent someone else, I would go and have that little church fixed up, cleaned out, and then poor Uncle Fred could do whatever he wanted with it. But gosh, lend a helping hand. Uncle Fred is clearly not asking for anything. He's not even discussing his cousin or his niece, Meghan, with anybody, and not expecting anything from her. But what a nice token of charity and being a humanitarian that would have been had she done something like that. And done it without bringing her personal photographer along. Just an idea for Meggie, an idea she most likely will not even take under advisement, knowing her as I think I do. Not much is known about Uncle Fred's sons. I even went on their Facebook pages and couldn't find much. All I could find is that Nick Markle, or Nicholas, Uncle Fred's one son, went to Croom's Academy of Information Technology and is still living in Sanford in the family home. The other son, David Markle, he is married to Jackie Markle and they live in Douglasville, Pennsylvania. So let's talk about Thomas Markle's other brother, Michael D. Markle. He was born in July 1939. Michael Markle Uncle Mike turned 82 in July, and he is another older brother of Meghan's father, Thomas. Uncle Mike had given a few interviews. He was disappointed that he had not been invited to the wedding, as he was the one who got her the internship in Argentina. In an interview in November 2019, he labelled Meghan a prima donna. Mike suffers from Parkinson's disease and heart problems, but stated that he would gladly have travelled to the UK to walk his niece down the aisle in the absence of his brother. Mike maintains contact with his brothers and says that they don't talk about things to do with Meghan anymore. However, in March this year, he sent another message to Meghan in which he begged Meghan to heal the rift with her father. He made it clear that at their age, with their underlying health conditions, they are at a high risk of death should they contract the coronavirus. Mike made a heartfelt plea to Meghan to contact her father before it was perhaps too late. All we know about Uncle Mike is that he is a retired US diplomat and veteran Air Force member. Uncle Mike, however, has one child, who is Meghan's cousin, Trish Gallop. Trish was born in 1960 and is now 60 years old. And she is the only daughter and only child of Uncle Mike. In May 2018, she told a reporter that she had tried to contact the royals. She addressed a letter which included photographs of Meghan with the Markle family to Clarence House and even to Prince Harry, but both letters were turned away by palace staff. So that, for now, concludes my work on the extended family of a Duchess, Meghan Markle. And what I will do, like I said before, is I will put it all together, my conclusions, diagrams, etc., for you in part 5. So until then, I'm saying bye.